Now that's what I'm talking about. That's how you cut steel. Welcome back to DIY My Way. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to my new best friend as far as metal cutting goes, and that's this Evolution metal cutting Mitering chop saw. This amazing machine is the answer to my frustration with cutting metal with my abrasive wheel chop saw, which while it has served me well, is slow to cut thicker material and leaves it extremely hot after the cut. But as you will see, this Mitering chop saw is the cat's meow. Here are some of the features and specs that caught my attention. It comes with a 14-inch cutting blade for mild steel, but many other blades are available, as you'll see shortly. The 120-volt 15-amp motor is geared down to 1450 RPM. It has a mitering range of 46 degrees left and right, with stops at 0, 15, 22.5, 30, and 45 degrees. There are dual sliding quick-release clamps on an adjustable crossbar, and they come with V-block adapters as shown here for holding round tubing or square tubing at 45 degrees. There's a multi-position top clamp that also has a V-block adapter, as you'll see in action shortly. It has a 3-position sliding cutting head with a locking pin. The fence is knurled for gripping workpieces. The saw can cut a wide range of material sizes as shown in the table on the left, including half-inch plate steel, 4.75-inch square tubing at 90 degrees, or almost 4-inch square tubing at 45-degree miter. Also noteworthy is the weight of the saw at 77 pounds. It is heavy, even though its base appears to be mostly aluminum. The saw was made in Japan, and it currently sells for $849 on Amazon, which is expensive, but well worth it in my opinion for the savings in time and frustration when cutting metal. There is a link to it in the video description. As I mentioned, there are a wide range of blades available from Evolution for this saw. Besides the mild steel blade that comes with it, you can get a blade specifically for thin steel, stainless steel, aluminum, or a multi-use blade for cutting wood, metal, and plastic. The saw is very well packaged and some assembly is required. That's the blade. The last thing to come out is the base. The manual has a set of assembly diagrams in the front, but the assembly instructions start on page 14, which is a poor layout in my opinion, but the diagrams are pretty self-explanatory. Step 1 is to move the miter angle to 0. Next, slide the cutting head assembly onto the slide tubes. Make sure the sliding lock lever is off. Then remove and discard the slide locking pin spacer and make sure the locking pin engages with the hole closest to the rotating table for stability during assembly. Fit the rear rail support onto the end of the rails and secure it with the 2 screws and washers supplied. You can use the onboard hex tool to tighten them. Install the clamp crossbar and screw in the locking thumb screws. Lower the cutting head assembly and lock in the down position. Swing the blade arbor guard up and out of the way. Remove the arbor bolt, washer, and outer blade flange. Install the blade, ensuring the directional arrow on the blade matches the direction of the arrow on the upper blade guard. Reinstall the outer blade flange, washer, and arbor bolt. Press and hold the arbor lock button while fully tightening the arbor bolt with the onboard hex tool. Now's a good time to cut the zip tie holding the lower blade guard open. I forgot to video it, but don't forget to close the arbor cover and retighten the arbor cover bolt. Next, the sliding quick release clamps can be placed on the adjustable height crossbar. I might as well go ahead and put on the V-block adapters since I'll need them for the first cut. Let's not forget about the vertical clamp. Time for the first cut, which happened to be the one you saw at the start of the video, but this time I'll show you the details of the setup. The workpiece is a 1.5 inch square tubing with 1/8 inch thick walls. As recommended in the instructions for cutting square tubing, I have it turned 45 degrees and clamped against the fence using the V-block adapters. The crossbar is raised up to the first notch to get the height of the clamps just right so that the workpiece is also resting solidly on the base to ensure a perfect 90-degree cut. The position of the cutting head on the slide is very important for proper cuts and maximum blade life. This diagram shows the correct position for different shapes and sizes of material. In this case, it is in the middle position. A good clean cut in about 12 seconds. Best of all, the workpiece is cool to touch. My old abrasive wheel chop saw took 54 seconds to make the same cut, and the piece would be blistering hot afterward. Next, I cut a piece of 3 inch by 1/4 inch thick flat bar. The crossbar is still up 1 notch, and I turned the clamps vertical to hold the bar firmly against the fence. Because of the height that the cut starts, the cutting head is in the middle position. Another clean cut in 15 seconds. Now for a piece of 1/2 inch solid square bar with the crossbar in the lowest position and the cutting head in the rear position. A very clean and smooth cut in 8 seconds. Just a bit of flash on the piece I cut off. This is a piece of 3/4 inch square tubing with 1/10 inch thick walls turned 45 degrees and clamped against the fence using the V-block adapters. I'm also using the vertical clamp and a V-block adapter as well. The cutting head is in the rear position. A great cut in just 7 seconds. Let's try a piece of 2-inch angle iron, 1/4 inch thick. Again, because of the height that the cut starts, the cutting head is in the middle position. The crossbar is in the lowest position, and the V-block adapters are flipped over so that they are at the right height to clamp the piece firmly to the fence. Done in 19 seconds. A perfect cut. On both pieces. Now let's see how it does on a 45-degree miter cut of the 3/4 inch square tubing with the 1/10 inch thick walls. The piece will have to lay flat on the base for this cut. Because of the miter angle, the cutting head is in the middle position. Nine seconds later, a fine cut with just one burr on the small piece. Little flash on the end there, but otherwise a very nice cut. And a perfect cut on the other. So that's a very, very fine cut. For the final test cut, I try a piece of 16 gauge 1 1/4 inch round tubing. The cutting head is in the middle position. Another clean cut in just 7 seconds. Just one burr on the longer piece, but easily removed by hand. One thing I was warned about in the reviews is that the filings go everywhere. Some even come forward. So there's some on the floor here, along there, and of course all over the saw. But particularly and predictably, it throws most of it out here. There's a ton of it on the floor there. It seems to, I'm sure there's some that goes out here, but seems to end right about there, about 3 feet out for the most part. And of course a lot on the work surface. The saw makes a lot of metal shavings, but magnets make cleanup easy. This magnet on a flexible one is great for getting the metal shavings out of tight spaces. I use a paper towel over a trash can to remove the shavings from the magnet. For areas easier to access, one of my magnetic camera mounts with a paper towel over it is perfect for collecting shavings. A shop vac is also handy for cleanup. Here are the pros and cons that I see with this saw. First, it cuts very fast compared to my abrasive chop saw or to a metal cutting bandsaw. And it makes very clean cuts on par with a metal cutting bandsaw. Cut pieces are cool to the touch immediately after the cut. Miter cuts are easy to set up compared to typical chop saws, thanks to the mitering base and the versatile clamping system. I like that it has a safety latch on the power switch. The blades have a long life and can be resharpened. Finally, the saw was clearly built with quality in mind and should last a long time. As for the cons, the saw is expensive and definitely a major investment, but well worth it to me. Also, the blades are expensive. The saw is very heavy, so it isn't very portable, but mine will stay in my shop, so that's not an issue for me. So let me know in the comments what you think of this type of metal cutting saw. I, for one, am super impressed with it, and I wish I'd gotten one a lot sooner. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please click that like button, leave a comment, by all means please subscribe. If you want to know when I post new videos, click that little bell. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.